Welcome, everybody, another episode of the Wrestling vs. the World podcast. You're enjoying today, sweet if not, then what the hell ever. Today, we got another one I kind of wanted to talk about. I'm going to do a different version of this group later, like in a later episode. But I wanted to look back at the odd period that we had with D-Generation X from 2009 to 2010. This was like, I don't know how many times the group had reformed. Like, I know they had formed originally in 97, because that was Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Rick Rude in China, and then eventually Shawn's out with a back injury, Rick Rude leaves, you got new members coming in, the group's in and out. And they tried again in 2006 until 2007, but then Triple H's injury cut the group, or duo, short, now being a tag team. And now they get revived in 2009. Now, we gotta remember where the place was with the company, because at this point they had been a PG for about a year. They had to ease up on anything risque. So, like, the blood was out, they had to be careful what they do in terms of like content and everything. Is they're not going to be able to do what they could do 10 years prior with DX. Not by a long shot. So the whole premise was that, for at least the reformation, was that Shawn Michaels had been gone since after WrestleMania 25. He took a break. And Triple H, he was having after dealing with Randy Orton, he's now solely focused on Legacy, who was constantly kicking his ass. So he thought, alright, I'm going to need a tag partner to come help me. So he calls up Shawn. They do those vignettes where he tracks down Shawn, because Shawn is actually a chef. And you had the whole segment where he super kicked a little girl who was getting on his last nerves as he quit and let the grill go on fire and everything. But he decides, hey, I'll come back. Let's reform D-Generation X. So you thought, okay, a tag team that's reforming because of the name and everything, but how's it going to fare out? Well, you had a bit of a promise there with the intro, or the entrance, at least at SummerSlam, where DX comes out on the tank. That was a nice little thing there. And DX won the match against Legacy. Cool. Well, the feud still kept going. And they decided at Breaking Point, which is it was weird that they named it this, like, they call it Breaking Point because the main theme was supposed to be submissions, but not every match was a submission match. Just like the Fatal 4-Way event you would see the next year. Not everything's going to follow that premise. Only certain key marquee matches will. But this time you had one of the very few times where we had a submissions count anywhere match. I know they did another one, I think. It had to have been the next year, like a triple threat with like Daniel Bryan, I think it was like Hell in a Cell 2010. And I think they've hardly done any submissions count anywhere matches since then, but Falls Count Anywhere submissions only. After DX was like split apart because Triple H was taken out backstage, Legacy actually beat Shawn with a double submission around the ring post to make him tap out. And you didn't see Shawn Michaels tap out a whole lot, really, during this run in WWE. He had some occasions where he would, but that was actually like a big deal. So both tag teams had one up apiece on each other. But then you get to Hell in a Cell. This actually, main event of the show. DX versus Legacy, tag team Hell in a Cell match, final match of the show. It was a solid match for this main event, but like it wasn't, like I get it. Like you had 3 Hell in a Cell matches on the show. You had Undertaker, CM Punk, Randy Orton, John Cena, and then this. You couldn't send the crowd home not happy with the WWE Championship finish, and plus that was all kind of messed up. You couldn't have a squash match as the main event, essentially, for like what we had with Punk and Undertaker. But the problem also with this one is that this does not feel like it deserved to be a main event of the pay-per-view of DX versus Legacy and all that crap. But DX won. They essentially isolated Cody. I think they locked Ted DiBiase Jr. outside of the cell, and they just beat on Cody until they pinned him to end the feud. So it's like, okay, not too bad. Then you get to one of the weird moments that we had here, and that was Hornswoggle wanting to join the group. Because I know this was during the Raw era where they were having guest GMs and like Hornswoggle having fun, trying to do impressions and everything, but he tried to act like he was part of DX. And the whole thing was like he was dressing up like them, doing the crotch chop mannerisms, which, like Triple H, I think he was still doing the original crotch chop. Shawn Michaels was doing his variation where it was above the crotch that he'd been doing since DX reformed in 2006. But they're telling Hornswoggle, you're committing copyright infringement, you can't do this. And then, out of nowhere, while they were also going through that, they find out, oh, Survivor Series, we're going to have a triple threat. John Cena, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, winner becomes WWE Champion. Now, this whole decision to make this triple threat was weird because you look at the build, the only thing you really had to go off of, at least solely within the participants of the triple threat, was, hey, they have history of beating each other. And like, but otherwise, they just kept bringing up Hornswoggle and all that crap. And they even had that little People's Court segment. So like Hornswoggle is taking them to court because, oh, DX is beating their asses and all that stuff. So they go to court and everything. They're making a bunch of little people jokes. I'm surprised they didn't bring Stefan from Saturday Night Live in there to also help in there. Although it wouldn't have been PG either, but still would have at least kind of fit the theme. But they had that segment. It was so weird. But DX, they had the triple threat at Survivor Series. The only thing you really remember was that Shawn super kicked Triple H right at the beginning. So that was like a shocking moment saying like, hey, it's every man for himself, but Cena still retained. But then you get to TLC. DX is now going against Jericho. Chris Jericho, Big Show, tag team titles, unified tag team titles it is. And DX would win, but they also had the issue where they had one of the ladders messing up, so you had to have like half a ladder held up by Triple H for Shawn to retrieve the titles. Jericho, he almost impaled himself on one of the tables when he got super kicked off the Big Show's he was on Big Show's shoulder. Show got super kicked, and then Jericho flew to the outside, so that was weird. But DX would finally become tag team champions for the first time ever, which was very nice. And it was like one of only Shawn's other title reigns that he had during this like comeback from 2002 to 2010. Then they decide, hey, let's add some Hornswoggle to the group. It's like you guys threaten to sue him, or like for copyright infringement. He sues you guys back. You guys don't want him to copy you, but then you make him your mascot after all that stuff that happened. Triple H even pedigreed him there in Madison Square Garden. They took him out on a little stretcher. Like, why would you become friends with this guy, especially when he doesn't really add anything to your group? Like, he's the mascot. He's like, ha, 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 I'm small, ha, 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 funny. It didn't help. Like, the group was so limited of what they could do by this moment because of the PG guidelines. Again, like I said, you look at the original iteration compared to now. They were so limited, even compared to 2006, 2007. So they did all that stuff. Hornswoggle was hanging around. It was whatever. And then it was as 2009 went into 2010, which I've already brought up in a different episode of the podcast, where you get the storyline where Shawn was starting to obsess over The Undertaker and the fact that he couldn't end the streak at WrestleMania 25, so he wanted another shot. So it was like, okay, there's something interesting there. And, well, you also had one fun moment there, at least, for Shawn, where, as 2010 began, he finally made peace with Bret Hart. Thank goodness, wearing the DX clothing and all, and stuff at Montreal. And you had one of those segments where Shawn was trying to go at Undertaker, giving him a shot at WrestleMania and bring up the Royal Rumble, but he wasn't getting it, so his obsession was getting to him and also driving a wedge between the tag team. And in one triple threat tag elimination match, DX lost the tag titles to the Straight Edge Society, Punk and Luke Gallows, and the newly formed tag team of Show Miz being the Miz and Big Show, which I've covered in the past. And then Shawn, he would try to throw DX away in order to go to SmackDown and get part in the Elimination Chamber match, which didn't help. Triple H wasn't happy. Like, you're going to throw DX away? You're going to throw your career away? And then Shawn's like, my career is over, and then he super kicks Teddy. Fun little moment there. Holla holla. But it seemed like everything was alright because they had one more rematch, like trying to get the tag team titles back, which would not help because Shawn and Triple H would still lose, going against Show Miz. That might have been the tag match because The Undertaker, like, appeared on the Titantron to distract him and everything. And that was essentially one of the last time DX would tag up in a televised tag match for the next 8 years. We already know what happened there. But at least DX would have a nice moment because the night after WrestleMania 26, Shawn would give his farewell speech. Triple H would hug him up at the ramp and leave 2 DX glow sticks there and on the ramp and everything. And at least that was a nice little accessory that fans could buy, glow sticks, just to support the group. I'm sure Jericho wasn't happy about it after a certain house show. If you know, you know. So yeah, it's like, it's so hard to look at the DX run here positively because, again, the PG guidelines that you had here was hampering them compared to what made them popular to begin with during the Attitude Era. You had all the crotch jokes, suck-its and everything, and like pulling pranks on people, like being big-ass troublemakers. And it's like, yeah, they could be troublemakers here. Like, you had some of the fun little elements that you had when they were doing the Christmas vignettes and everything, including with Kelly Kelly and the Bears and all that other stuff. But it's just like, you were never going to get to the same degree as what DX had before because of what they were being hampered by. And adding Hornswoggle did not help them. It did not bring back an edge to the group, even to any degree, even with these PG guidelines. It just watered them down more. It's like, oh, we got a little person. Ha ha, he's our mascot. You guys aren't really benefiting from having him there in the group. You know? Like, there have been a lot of times where Hornswoggle gets shoehorned into something that doesn't really help with whatever storylines are going on, like Vince's son or the anonymous Raw GM. But so let me know in the comment section, well, what did you guys all think about DX's run from 2009 2010? Like, I prefer their 2006-2007 run a lot more than this. there were at least a lot more memorable moments from that previous run compared to this. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's episode of the podcast, folks, please remember, leave a like, subscribe with the bell, turn on here on YouTube, comment what you thought below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening, folks. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out, and good day, everybody.